Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Yeah, look at this. Here I am again. You can't keep a good woman down. Welcome to the first edition of Lynn Cullen Live. And I think, folks, we are at the beginning of something that is going to be truly wonderful and looser and better than any forum we've had before. Now, let me give you a sense of how you can interact with me now, as you just heard that gentleman say. For now, you can call me at Lynn at, not call me, see? Lynn at PittsburghCityPaper.com, PGHCityPaper.com. I'll get your questions there. Those of you who Twitter, you can follow me and send those tweets to, well, moi, Lynn Cullen. Simple as that. I also will, no, I think I won't. I was going to say I will follow my other email site, but those of you who do get to me that way, rest assured I will be checking that as well. And until we're able to take calls, which I'm told will be relatively soon, this is the way we're going to have to interact. And just rest assured that we will be able to eventually take phone calls as well. We'll be up and running, not under the eyes and the regulations of the Federal Communications Commission. This is the Internet. And this undoubtedly is where talk radio will be going. So we're getting there just a little bit ahead of the pack. And I am really, really excited about this. So, where have I been? Well, I've been sitting in my backyard with my feet up, looking at the fish and the flowers, and generally getting fat and lazy. And it's first time I had a summer off in, since I was a kid. And I got to tell you, my brain is probably like a kid who has just had 3 months off, sleeping late and lazing around. So it'll take maybe a few days for it to kick back into gear. I have, in my absence, been doing what I would usually do, which is keeping an eye on the news. But you know what? It's funny. You get to know yourself a little bit when you have more time. And one of the things I have become reacquainted with about Lynn Cullen is that she is not as much of a news junkie, or for that matter, as opinionated, or for that matter, as sure of herself as Lynn Cullen radio host would appear. And so I find it a little bit daunting to head back into the roiling maelstrom that is political discourse in this country, at least political discourse as it is done on talk radio and on cable news, and as we see now in political forums where our legislators attempt to actually have a conversation with us and instead are shouted down. I say this wistfully, feeling that maybe it's a lost cause, but I would love it if we could, on this program, return back to a semblance of civil discourse in which we actually learn something from each other, as opposed to staking out specific territory and then battling. I came across a quote that was attributed to Jimi Hendrix. I find it incredible that this is attributed to Jimi Hendrix, but it's something to the effect that knowledge, that when we talk, don't do this if you don't have the quote there, Cullen. Knowledge can be, talking at you. You can show your knowledge, but you show wisdom by listening. And I didn't get that quite right, but you get the idea. And I think clearly what's happened in our country on a social level, on a political level, on a civil level, is that we're all filled with facts. We got plenty of knowledge, but we don't have much wisdom. And that you can see by the fact that we don't listen to each other. And I admit I'm not inclined to listen to somebody who's screaming at me. I'm not inclined to listen to somebody who's, got spittle coming out of their mouths and they look crazed, and increasingly they're packing a gun on their hip. That is not the kind of posture or stance that is inviting of conversation that might actually get us someplace. So this might be a lonely voice in the wilderness, but I am hoping that maybe because I'm not doing talk radio right now, am I? I ain't on the radio. And so I don't have to live and abide by its stultified format for conversation and talk, which is a constant in-your-face, middle finger up in the air, pissing contest. And you see, I can say pissing contest and not even worry that I might get in trouble for doing so. So in that regard, we are freed up to reinvent this kind of back and forth communication. And because we don't have to worry about signal strength, because people can tune in, be listening, be plugged in from anywhere in the world, ideally, if we shut up enough, we might actually get wiser. And I include myself. Believe me. Here's one of the thoughts I have had in my absence from broadcasting, in the quiet that has been my life for the last 3 months. When you don't have to run around like a lunatic like we usually are doing, you sometimes actually have the opportunity to engage in thoughtfulness. It is something missing in our lives. And so one of the thoughts that I have had in the past 3 months is that these are very uncertain times. Now, that doesn't seem to be much of an original thought. We're all feeling uncertain. And the times, of course, are uncertain in so many ways. But then again, since we never do know the future, times are always uncertain. But here's what slays me. In these uncertain times, it is simply amazing to me how many people are so certain about what we should be doing, about, you name it, healthcare, about Afghanistan, about educational issues, about G20, about anything. The certitude is astonishing. And I just want to say this, and I'll imagine repeat it a number of times in the course of our conversations. I am not certain about much of anything. Every once in a while I am, but generally speaking, I am not. And what I find most off-putting about these kinds of forums of talk radio and cable news and all that stuff is the arrogant certainty of people who, in fact, simply are voicing their opinions, okay? I don't want to be that presumptuous. I don't want to be that arrogant. Spoken like a true liberal, huh? Spoken like a liberal. You wouldn't hear the conservatives ever say any of this. But on the other hand, you wouldn't hear a Rachel Maddow or a Keith Olbermann say that either, because they're playing the game. They've positioned themselves on the other side, and they come at the fray as certain as do the others, O'Reilly, et cetera, and Limbaugh. And I say they're all wrong. They're all at least dishonest or disingenuous, or they're playing a game that we have set up. It's a form of entertainment, make no mistake about it. But I think things are so important right now in the world, and for that matter, I could have said that any day from the year 2000 BC on up to today. There are some things that are so important that they require seriousness and thoughtfulness. And again, I don't see a lot of that in the way we speak to each other. And notice I didn't say listen to each other, because I don't think we are. And I must admit, I have my own difficulties in that regard. Because when we hear people saying things that we absolutely disagree with, it is really, really hard not to shut down, not to close down, not to harden and dig in. And yet, damn it, guys, unless some of us start being able to listen, I don't think things bode well. I really don't. Now, you want to know what I'm thinking about this and that, and I'll be glad to share my thoughts. But again, I want to say that anything I said is said with a degree of uncertainty. Almost, except that, here's my voice again. Now, my voice was fine for 3 months. I get another gig with a microphone and off it goes. So I'll tell you what, the way this show is going to work is that we are going to be taking breaks because we are going to have advertisers, God bless them, because that's the only reason I can be here, okay? So in that regard, the format will seem very familiar. Again, I'd love it if, until the phones are up and running, you simply respond to me in any way, a thought, a question, whatever. I will try to throw it back out for everybody. And you can do that at Lynn at PGH, that's Pittsburgh, folks, Lynn at PGHcitypaper.com. And please follow me on Twitter if you're a peep. Is that what it is? I'm going to get into this. I really am. Follow me on Twitter, and you send your tweets to Lynn Cullen, and I will truly look forward to that new venue again. I'm starting to get it, this new sense of how one creates a community of, I was going to say like-minded people, but in a way I think there's too much of that going on. I think we're segregating ourselves and I guess it was probably ever thus, human nature. You want to be around people who think like you, who reflect your own view of the world, because then we feel more comfortable, But I'll tell you what, unless people who are different start actually talking to each other, hanging out together, unless we integrate in that regard, we're not going to move forward. And there is no more depressing exhibit A of that than what has gone on with the healthcare situation. I am dumbfounded at what I have witnessed in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I am disappointed on so many levels. I am disappointed in Barack Obama, and I adore the guy. I am not as disappointed in the Congress because I expected nothing from them. I am disappointed in the American people for being so easily manipulated and frightened. And I am angry as hell, which is usually the case, at the do-nothing, know-nothing Republican Party. But still, even in its down and out state, is still capable of setting up roadblocks, preventing progress, and generally stymieing any forward movement. So that's sort of some of where I am at the moment, and so much I do want to talk about. So I already have some questions in here, and I think I'll get to them in just a moment. But I'm learning the ropes too, guys. So I'm going to try to take my first break, and then I'll be right back with you. I hope you'll stay right here. It's Lynn Cullen Live. And it's Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And a special thank you to City Paper, Pittsburgh City Paper, a fine publication. And I have not bumped into more helpful, professional people in my life. And I'm very grateful, as you should be too, for them giving us this opportunity to talk and listen. So stay right here. I'll be back momentarily.
Who can you trust these days? The folks at Forbes wanted to know. They judged more than 12,000 publicly traded businesses to find the 100 most trustworthy companies in America. The result? Northwest Savings Bank earned the distinction of the most trustworthy savings bank in America, ranked 54th overall, number one in every community, town, city, and region we serve. They say trust is always earned, never given. We agree. So to our customers, we say thank you. Northwest remains independent and strong and proud to accept no government assistance or TARP capital whatsoever. We will continue to earn your trust every day with best-in-class products and services for you and your business. Not banking with us? Stop in today for a quick and easy switch. Call Northwest Direct at 1-877-672-5678 or visit northwestsavingsbank.com for a location near you. Northwest Savings Bank, where people make the difference. Member FDIC.
Animal Friends is a great place to adopt and to shop. Animal Friends Pet Supply Shop was named Pittsburgh's Best Pet Boutique by Pittsburgh Magazine. Get great deals on pet food and toys, gourmet treats, organic grooming supplies, clothing, collars, leashes, beds, and gifts for pets and people. You can even get custom glassware or an engraved pendant featuring your pet. Best of all, your purchase benefits the homeless dogs, cats, and rabbits at Animal Friends. Animal Friends is located at 562 Camp Horn Road in North Hills, just 10 minutes from downtown Pittsburgh. To learn more about their boutique and to view adoptable animals, visit www.thinkingoutsidethecage.org. Make a difference. Shop at Animal Friends.
Hey, listen, I got to tell you about a place that has been a godsend to me in my crazy life, and that is Wheel Deliver, W-H-E-E-L. How clever. Wheel Deliver. You can go essentially out to dinner, staying at home, and have access to 34 of some of the finest restaurants in town. You guys know about this, right? If you live in the East End especially, because they deliver to Shadyside, Oakland, downtown, Squirrel Hill, Bloomfield, Lawrenceville, and those surrounding neighborhoods for 20 years. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, head over to the website right now, www.wheeldeliver, W-H-E-E-L, deliver.net, and you will see all of these restaurants. So if you're feeling like Mexican food, there's Mexican. If you're feeling like Caribbean food, there's Caribbean. Italian, pizza joints, wings, deli sandwiches, fancy schmancy stuff. It's all available to you. You can call up and order, or you can order whatever you want online. So just take a look at that website, okay, wheeldeliver.net, and look at the restaurants available. Look at the menus, and try not to salivate too much. At least once a week. the Wheel Deliver folks are at my door because, after a long day, you don't want to cook. But you want to eat well and you want to feed your family well. And you don't feel like going out to a restaurant. Fine, have the restaurant come to you. That's Wheel Deliver. Phone number 412-421-9346.
Adopt one pet and save two. When you empty a cage at Animal Friends, you offer a lifeline to another pet who needs a second chance. Be a part of the humane solution and adopt a pet from Animal Friends. Visit them today to meet dogs, cats, rabbits, puppies, and kittens of all ages, breeds, and personalities. Whether you're looking for a jogging partner, a four-legged comedian, a snuggling snoozer, a new kitten or dog with great family experience, they've got your perfect match. Animal Friends is located at 562 Camp Horn Road in North Hills, just 10 minutes from downtown Pittsburgh. Or meet adoptable animals online at www.thinkingoutsidethecage.org. Bring more love into your life. Adopt a homeless pet today. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Yeah, give me those questions. Am I here? I think I am. Okay, now the reason you heard two Animal Friends things back to back is because I'm in charge of pushing the buttons in here, and I pushed the wrong one. So my apologies to Animal Friends for those back to backy things, and whatever. I'll remedy that. I'll get better at it, and I'll and I can't talk to you yet, can I? You're not here. Chris Potter, the editor of Pittsburgh City Paper, is in the studio, but we're getting a mic for him because we didn't know we were going to do that, and we'll look forward to talking to him. Gee whiz, you guys are amazing. They even gave me the weather. Mostly cloudy today with an afternoon thunderstorm likely and a high near 83. I began my career in broadcasting as a weekend weather girl. So, yes, I did. Absolutely. Weekend weather girl, Madison, Wisconsin. And, those were the days when a woman, and I'm going to give my age away, when they wouldn't let a woman do the news, and the only thing you could do is, the weather and maybe the noon show and do cooking things. And so that is where I started. And, of course, I didn't know a damn thing about the weather, but it didn't matter. Weather then and weather now is still mostly an entertainment aspect of the news, which is why they use so much time on half-hour newscast for weather, because all of their research shows them that's what people want to know. And I'm loath to get into something here until Chris gets his mic on. I want to read something to you that was on the Pitts blog. Mike Madsen's, and he was, I believe, quoting the Daily Kos or Kos, because his name is Kosa something. Marcos, blah, blah, blah. The net guy. And here's what he said. My favorite moment of the Netroots conference, this is on his blog, I guess, in Pittsburgh. So I'm at the Daily Coast party introducing the comedy segment of the evening, and I ask, be honest, how many of you thought Pittsburgh was a shithole before you came here? And just about everyone raised their hands. I assume those who didn't were mostly locals. Then I asked, so what do you think now? And everyone cheered wildly.
Wow.
Isn't that great, Chris? I mean, that show, all these people came in, hadn't seen Pittsburgh. They thought it was, I couldn't have said that on the radio.
Right, shithole, yeah.
Yes. Oh, what liberation, liberation! I could say shithole.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Oh, wow. But that's neat. I mean, because those people came and then they were blown away by the city. Yeah. So
the Allegheny Conference should be using that as a slogan. Not the shithole we thought. Pittsburgh, not the shithole you thought it was, I think would be a good slogan.
Oh, gosh. So, hey, I want to, first of all, say welcome to the inaugural edition.
I'm your first guest, right?
Of
This
Lynn,
is
Cullen
very
Live.
exciting.
You are my first guest. And since I'm integrally connected, is that redundant?
Yes.
Yes, it is, totally.
It's okay.
Because, see, he's an editor, and he would have, he's aware of things like that. With you guys now. And there should be some symbiosis, right? We got what's coming up in this week's issue. You like the cover story?
You picked the one issue of the year that I really can't answer that question very intelligently because I've been out of town. I just got back from Ireland actually this weekend, so I missed the whole Netroots thing actually because I was all jet lagged,
right,
and strung out and whatever. So I don't know. We've got some stories about some stuff.
Way to promote the product. All right.
Call me back next week, and I might have a little something more intelligent to say.
All right.
We're not, but yeah. I mean, can we talk about going to Ireland? Because I had this fascinating.
Of course, I had this
fascinating experience over there, which was. The last time I went overseas, I've only done it twice. The first time we were in London when Hurricane Katrina happened.
Oh.
And so we were watching all that stuff through the BBC, which was just a wild experience to see what a complete. We look like a third world country to those folks, and they were talking about.
Well, but you have to remember, we look like a third world country to us here too.
Exactly.
I remember looking with such, having to keep reminding myself, this is the United States.
Right. So we had the similar experience, although not so egregiously this time, which is we saw some of the healthcare debates, the town hall meetings, and there was this. Here's some promotion. I just blogged about this, so when people are done listening to your site, they can check out my blog. This woman in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, who started yelling at Arlen Specter, and saying, "Oh, I hate that we're turning into a socialist nation." Apparently, I don't know who was giving her advice, but they actually brought her on to the Hardball show, where it turned out she knew absolutely nothing about what she was talking about. But we were sort of watching this entire debate take place again in Ireland, and just sort of watching our countrymen yell at their representatives, talk over them, and it basically, again, we do not project well in these moments. There's just that, I don't know whether it's 25% of society or whatever who's just absolutely refuses to take yes for an answer when it comes to actually offering, at least the opportunity or the chance to have decent health care, and they just don't want any part of it. Do not give us health care. We are self-reliant Americans. Don't help us, But
I have heard others say that, see what that messy site that we all watched is democracy at its finest.
Action. Yeah. Well, people should be able to hear each other talk, though, right? That to me was sort of the idea of, and the sad thing about, people should watch this Hardball interview. It was kind of touching with this woman, and she just didn't, she was upset about how much taxes her family paid, but when the guy asked Lawrence O'Donnell, I think it was, asked her, well, how much, Obama has promised that only $250,000, people who make $250,000 or more are going to pay more in taxes for this. Is that your family? Would that affect you? And she didn't know, because her husband pays all the bills and her husband knows everything about that. So
you mean she doesn't even? She doesn't know if she makes
$250,000 or not. She couldn't answer that question apparently. So on the one hand, you've got somebody who's saying I don't know what my income is. Even I don't even know if I make $250,000 or not. But I know that whatever I make, the taxes on that amount are ridiculous.
It was just
high. Yeah. It was just, the other thing that was interesting in Ireland too was at the time we were there was this huge debate going on. A lot of the pharmacies in Ireland have closed. And the reason for that is in Ireland, the government pays the pharmacists to dispense medication to people who can't afford it on their own. They have sort of a hybrid kind of system. And, the markup on these things is incredible. I was talking to an Irish guy who paid about €50 for a month for a prescription that he gets, and the government pays for his €50, and they also paid 25 or 30 euros to the pharmacy just for dispensing that stuff, which is an incredible markup. You're saying that 50%.
Okay, now just so people know, a euro
is worth about $1.50.
Okay.
Right now, which makes a Guinness incidentally cost about $8. So, It was, we're doing nothing but Netflix for the next couple months in the Potter household, I can tell you. But, so you had this situation where the markup was just incredible, and the government said, look, we're getting hammered. Ireland's economy is in worse shape than ours, if you can imagine. And the government said, we can't afford to pay that kind of markup, so we're going to cut the subsidy that we're paying to these pharmacists. Well, the pharmacists start shutting down out of protest, insisting that they can't do business this kind of way. And I think that, eventually so there was a period of several days where there were just pharmacies that were simply refusing to hand out prescriptions to people who were on these programs or whatever. And I don't think it worked well for them, because by the time we left, the pharmacies were caving. They were giving in and all that stuff. And there was a letter to the editor in the Irish Times that said, congratulations to our health secretary for breaking this special interest. That's one down, 242 to go. And I think, it just struck me that we're in this same kind of situation in America. And it's one of the reasons that I think this public option, which judging from the newspapers I'm seeing, Obama is about to sort of walk away from, but it's why you need that hammer, because the situation, just like in Ireland, I certainly don't think any of the drug companies or, other medical professionals are any less avaricious or mercenary than the ones in Ireland. You need to have a hammer. Because otherwise we are just going to absolutely get taken advantage of by these people. Well,
that's why there's so much consternation now about the fact that the White House has been so quick to back away.
Yeah,
from wielding that hammer, and in fact, it reached this secret deal with pharmaceutical companies to do essentially what we were all over the Bush administration for doing, which is not use the strength, the power, and the breadth of the government to negotiate lower pharmaceutical prices. I'm not a flaming liberal, but it's hard not to be.
Wait, you aren't?
No, I'm not.
Because we really made a mistake in hiring you on that. Somebody should have informed me of this before we went ahead with this program.
You're to the left of me, I suspect. I know you are. You're like a red diaper baby.
Yeah. Well, now you got my parents ticked off, so it's. But that's actually, the whole. This is actually one of the things that I think a lot of us are struggling with the Obama administration is, on the one hand, politics is the art of the possible, but on the other hand, there are just times when Obama's idea of compromise just seems to be acting half as smart as I think he really is. We do have, and this is a painful thing I think for a lot of us to admit, especially coming out of the Bush administration and hoping that we were going to put an end to, the kind of special interest type stuff that, a lot of our Democrats are completely co-opted by the same kinds of pharmaceutical industries that the Bush administration was.
The number, people the Republicans who think Obama's like this socialist, what a joke.
Right. Take it from me, folks.
He ain't.
A former member of the SWP. This is not a socialist president.
That's not a socialist. And the fact of the matter is, he appears to be now, in the course of this debate, just another corporatist.
Yeah.
Which is, folks, pretty much what our government is. It has and has been for some time taken over by business interests, and they're represented almost totally by the Republican Party, but in large part by the Democratic Party as well. So they hold both parties.
Right.
And nothing can get done if they don't want it done, which is why you're seeing health care floundering now. It's amazing. The will of the people be damned.
Right. Oh, you can say that now, too.
That's true. I could say that before.
Oh, could you?
But
okay.
The people, the people are not represented by those screaming memes those aren't the people. And yet, because of the way media reports things, that now is the face of the American people in regard to health. Right. And you do have to ask, where are all these Obama voters? They've backed off. They're, are they dispirited, or they thought it was enough to vote for him, get him in, and then you leave him hanging? He doesn't feel there's support out there.
Yeah, I think that's a really excellent question, and I certainly don't have an answer for it, why these folks aren't out there. I think there is a tendency. First of all, it's really hard to know what we're getting behind at this point, right? What exactly is this thing, and how much effort by the time it comes out, by the time guys like Max Baucus or whoever get through with it, is it even going to be something that I'm going to want to get behind of? You have to admire these in a way. No, I shouldn't say admire. You have to kind of envy these folks who show up at the talk at the town halls and just scream at their officials, because whatever else, they're pretty sure of what they believe, and they're clearly not going to let any kind of facts get in the way. And for the rest of us, if you're going to actually support something as opposed to oppose it, you have to kind of, there's a burden on you to know what the hell you're talking about. Right. And I think it's really hard for people to know what the hell they're talking about at this point. And I think we just all have that sort of sinking feeling in our guts that we have somehow, we're sure to get screwed one way or the other here. Something is going to come out that we're going to be upset about. You know, it's going to be these sort of ridiculous, what's the thing now? The nonprofit,
co-ops.
The co-ops, yeah, the co-ops that are somehow going to solve all these problems.
I don't even know. I don't know whether that's horrible or it's okay or anything. Here's where Obama, who I once called a rabbi, meaning a teacher.
Sure.
He's such a good teacher, has really not done the job.
Right.
I mean, we're all getting apoplectic and arguing with each other and taking strong stands. And I don't know about you, I haven't read the 1,000+ page bill.
Right.
And I ain't going to. But we don't know what we're talking about.
Right. Well, I mean, Rahm Emanuel was supposed to go out and kick people's asses. That's how I thought it was going to work, that he was going to go out and just sort of like, you know, drill holes into people's heads or do whatever, like Inquisition badass stuff.
Well, I'm a little surprised about that because, in fact, this White House, you got Biden, who knows how the Senate works and has a lot of cred, and then you got Emanuel, who understands how the House works, and I would think then that this White House would have been a lot smarter about how it, first of all, knowing where its own party stood, the congressional delegation. Because if this gets done the Democrats have done it the Blue Dogs and, the Blue Dogs and maybe the folks on the ultra-liberal end, because they might scuttle even a compromise, which at least would move us off of where we are. In other words, if all we can get from this is that insurance companies, can't withhold, a policy because of a pre-existing condition or that kind of stuff. Isn't that something? Yeah,
you're a veteran of many of these battles yourself, I'm sure. It's the old reform versus revolution argument, you know, and we've seen it a bunch of times. You know, I've had this discussion with folks who are, agitated about same-sex marriage. You know, do you take a civil union as opposed to full-fledged same-sex marriage in the name?
I argued that once, and people tore my head off me.
Because you argued for civil unions?
I said, just take it a step.
Yeah, see, that's
the way
hard.
we do change in this country, do you know your history, for God's sake? You do it very slowly. You do it incrementally.
Right.
And it's the only way it happens.
Right.
And so you want it all, or you want nothing. That's how they frame it. Well, it's absurd. You want something. Right.
See, that's been my argument as well, and it's been pointed out to me correctly that it's easy for me, a straight white male who can get married, whenever he wants. That's an easy argument for me to say as well. Just be patient, you LGBT folks, and wait your turn, and all good things will come to those who wait. And a lot of these folks who I've talked to have been in committed relationships, monogamous relationships for decades. And it's just how much longer do we have to wait for that stuff? With, I think, an issue like this with healthcare, which is a more policy-based thing, there I think the concern, again, it goes back to me for this thing with Ireland and the pharmacists. It's like the danger there is sometimes half a loaf is worse than none. It's, you know what I mean? You can't operate if you're treating somebody for cancer, to use a healthcare metaphor. If you're treating somebody for cancer, you can't treat half the cancer. Right? Because it doesn't do any good. All you have to do is come back and get treated again down the road. The same sort of rationale applies for some of us on the left here. The system right now is so bollocksed up that maybe we need a thoroughgoing reform, and anything less than that is going to be worse than doing nothing at all, because then you get into a Medicare Part D thing.
If you can't claim some victory, if you're the Obama White House, then you're wounded. You're terribly wounded. So then he becomes less able to probably get other things done. You don't want him looking beat.
See, but why? And this is the. And
that's
I think
the pragmatic.
That's pragmatic. But the other side of that, from the Daily Kos side, is what do I care? So we're going to have a reform that Obama can declare victory and depart the field on. What does it matter if he can declare victory or not, if there are people still, if we don't really substantively address the fact that nearly 50 million Americans are without insurance? If you can't do it, if those people are still losers, then why do I care if Obama wins? And I think there are those on the left, and I'm rapidly finding myself in their camp, who really don't give a damn about whether Barack Obama is able to declare victory or not, because we want what's good for our countrymen and the people living down the street from us. And what's good for the president, it's nice for him if he can declare a victory, but on the other hand, who cares? I'm curious, Lynn, about the pragmatic aspect of that. Sure. You got to do a thing.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I just want to throw a quote that struck me at you. That again talks to the point you just made about you're now more the revolutionary than the reformer, right?
I'm the revolutionary on the 22nd floor.
Well, I just want to say, that's easy,
right?
Because here's the quote: "Nothing is impossible for the man who doesn't have to do it himself."
Right.
And it is so easy for us who don't have to do we don't have to deal with the reality of this. So, of course, we can stake out our wonderful principled positions and yap. Obama and Emmanuel and all those other guys who want what we want in many ways, they got to deal with the reality.
Sure. Which is, how do you get 60 votes on the Senate is the main thing. How do you get the 60 votes?
They aren't there.
Right.
They aren't there.
Yeah, that's the Nate Silver argument, of course, yeah.
It all just becomes let's tote it up. They're not even sure even in the House, it might squeak by. So if the votes aren't there in the Senate, it ain't there. Right.
I mean, the daily...
Then you compromise.
The Daily Kos answer to that is that the answer to that is to go out and get Democrats who are going to vote the way we want them to vote, and that something needs to be done about the sort of blue dog Democrat kind of thing. I mean, a big part of what's going on here in Pennsylvania, and the reason they had Specter and Sestak at this convention, was because there are a lot of people out there in that Netroots world who basically have. I mean, there are a lot of people everywhere who have no patience with Harlan Specter at this point, just because of all those years of back and forth with him or whatever. But that the answer isn't to say that there's a danger in saying, okay, we'll take this compromise. I mean, I agree with you.
You sound like the Republicans who want to clear their house of Specter.
Yes, that's definitely a danger.
And so you're saying the Democrats need to get rid of these blue dogs because they're not really Democrats. Okay, fine. Let's get rid of the blue dogs. Guess what? We now have a Republican-controlled House and a Republican-controlled Senate. So this sort of cutting off your nose to spite your face is just maddening, and it's what the left does all the time, and then smugly sits there feeling very righteous.
Right. I don't disagree with you. And in fact, I did an interview a couple weeks ago. Here, so again, I'm promoting the paper when I actually know what's in it. Where I interviewed Marcos Mulitz.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah. Luckily, I only had to write it down. So, I interviewed him, and I said, how's your mission changed since Obama has gotten elected? Because it's one thing to be blogging when you're in the minority, and it's another to be doing this sort of stuff when you're, when you've got all the cards in your hand or whatever. And he said, well, now we've gotten to a point where before it was just electing more Democrats, and now we want better Democrats.
The right Democrats.
And there's something to be. I mean, I can understand that. That's the logic of any movement. Is you want to go with that. The problem. I mean, the Republicans and the Democrats are in different positions. The Republicans are completely on the outs. So for them to be culling the herd at this point makes no political sense, because they don't have that much going for them anyway.
Okay, but
Democrats maybe have the luxury of doing that.
Let's call the herd. And right here in Pittsburgh, Jason Altmaier would not pass the test.
Right.
He's out. So what do we have? You want Melissa Hart?
Yeah, I mean,
let's talk reality.
Right, but I don't know that those are the only two choices.
They are, given that district.
Maybe given that district, but maybe not. Look,
the flip side come from districts that can be Republican.
But let's remember the dynamics of that district. That is socially conservative, and that speaks to the conservative side of it, pro-life and all that stuff. I mean, Altmaier himself has told me, in this district you have to be pro-life, because that's going to be the first question they ask when you knock on the door, and if you don't answer that question the right way, you don't get to answer a second question. But so the social side of that is there, but then we're also talking a lot of union folks out there in Beaver and Butler. There are a lot of old union Democrats out there who will respond to an appeal on the basis of an economic. This is the theory anyway. Who knows?
What do you mean? Those are all Reagan Democrats.
Yeah, but
they didn't vote for Barack Obama.
Yeah, I mean,
God's sake.
yeah. Then you get into the question, unfortunately, about some of the animus that's going on out there. But I mean, but here's the thing, Lynn. Earlier, you and I agreed that part of the problem that Democrats have is that they're corporatists, just like the Republicans
Correct.
are. So the theory here is that if both parties are corporatist, then what's really going to distinguish them? It's going to be the social issues. What if there were a candidate who wasn't Jason Altmaier per se, who was less corporatist than Jason Altmaier, but was also a pro-life Democrat? What if we could find that person out there? Somebody who was going to vote very strongly for a real public option in terms of health care, and deliver that to us, even if he didn't necessarily make people like you and I happy with some of his positions. Say,
is that Mike Doyle? Does he come closer?
I don't know. I mean, Mike Doyle would come closer, I would say. Absolutely.
Right.
I would say he would. So the question is there somebody out there like that? And I don't know the answer to that because I haven't been driving through Beaver looking for viable Democratic candidates. It's not really my job. So, plus the bus doesn't get out there too often. So that's, I think, what the issue is for us. Is there a way to do this? Because nothing succeeds like success. If the Democrats were able to come up with a plan that really worked, a healthcare plan or healthcare reform that really worked, all the rest of it doesn't matter. All those things about is Obama's legacy, blah, 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 it will work and people will vote for it on the basis that it was a sound public policy that delivered what was promised and what people needed.
Wow, that's Chris Potter, editor of Pittsburgh City Paper.
I'm being dismissed.
No,
Goodbye, folks.
He's out of here. But ain't he smart?
Right.
Yeah, he's
You got to do some commercials. You got to make us some money.
That's what I'm doing. So I'm dismissing you.
All right.
Do you even know what time it is? Do you know what hemisphere you're in? Just back from Ireland. He is so mixed up. He doesn't. You know what floor you're going to?
Yeah, vaguely. I'll just up the stairs.
Right,
Thanks, Lynn.
okay.
Take care.
Hey, Chris, thank you. And tell you what, he's absolutely right. I gotta take some breaks here, buddies. I'll be right back at you in just a moment. You stay here. It's Lynn Cullen Live, and hope you're tuned in. Hope you'll call. Now, I keep saying call, but you can't for a few weeks. Just email, tweet, all that kind of stuff at Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Okay? Great.
They say trust is always earned, never given. So when the financial experts at Forbes judged more than 12,000 businesses to determine the 100 most trustworthy companies in America, we were all ears. Who earned it? Northwest Savings Bank, with the distinction of the most trustworthy savings bank in America, ranked 54th overall. Number one in every community, town, city, and region we serve. So to our customers, we say thank you. Northwest remains independent and strong and proud to be rated well capitalized by the FDIC. We will continue to earn your trust every day with best-in-class products and services for you and your business. Who can you trust these days? The experts at Forbes say Northwest. Switch today. Call Northwest Direct at 1-877-672-5678 or visit northwestsavingsbank.com for a location near you. Northwest Savings Bank, where people make the difference. Member FDIC.
After an 18-month tour stretching to the farthest parts of the country, Tina has returned home to the Psychic Shop on Carson Street in the South Side. The Psychic Shop offers everything from very unique mystical and psychic gifts to professional readings by a highly experienced psychic. Tina has been all over the world showcasing her amazing gift for over 50 years. Come to the Psychic Shop on the corner of Carson Street and 20th and let Tina use her vast experience to give you professional palm and tarot readings. At the Psychic Shop, Tina can also assist you with balancing out chakras and spiritual cleansing using the unique gifts she has had since childhood. Let Tina help you find a higher level of fulfillment at conquering your dreams and desires. Allow her to prepare a reading for you that will emphasize your special needs and concerns. Call the Psychic Shop at 412-381-2612. Unfold the future, reveal the past, and expose the present. Why worry about tomorrow when Tina is just a phone call away? Call the Psychic Shop on the corner of Carson Street and 20th today for free questions by phone about your situation at 412-381-2612.
I'll tell you what, Wheel Deliver is a godsend for busy folks who are after a hard day or, for that matter, hard morning, looking for lunch but can't go out. and want some good food, Wheel Deliver, W-H-E-E-L, Deliver, delivers from over 30 restaurants, and I'm talking good restaurants in town. And so all you do is get on their website or give them a call and browse the full menus from these restaurants. And I'm talking high-end restaurants to like Quaker Steak and Lube or whatever that is. Right, they're on there. And you have, like Kaya. So you can get Caribbean food. You can get, they have a number of Italian restaurants. They have Chinese. They have Indian. They have American. They have anything you could want. And you just call them or get on their website and order in both manners. And the food comes to you. This serves mostly the East End and downtown. Shadyside, Oakland, Squirrel Hill, Bloomfield, Lawrenceville, and the surrounding areas. And they've been up and running for 20 years, and I've been up and eating for 20 years. I wouldn't be able to live without these guys. Wheel Deliver, www.wheeldeliver.net, or give them a call at 412-421-9346.
After an 18-month tour stretching to the farthest parts of the country, Tina has returned home to the Psychic Shop on Carson Street in the South Side. The Psychic Shop offers everything from very unique mystical and psychic gifts to professional readings by a highly experienced psychic. Tina has been all over the world showcasing her amazing gift for over 50 years. Come to the Psychic Shop on the corner of Carson Street and 20th and let Tina use her vast experience to give you professional palm and tarot readings. At the Psychic Shop, Tina can also assist you with balancing out chakras and spiritual cleansing using the unique gifts she has had since childhood. Let Tina help you find a higher level of fulfillment at conquering your dreams and desires. Allow her to prepare a reading for you that will emphasize your special needs and concerns. Call the Psychic Shop at 412-381-2612. Unfold the future, reveal the past, and expose the present. Why worry about tomorrow when Tina is just a phone call away? Call the Psychic Shop on the corner of Carson Street and 20th today for free questions by phone about your situation at 412-381-2612.
Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Oh, wow. This has gone too fast. Guys, in the coming weeks, I think we're going to stretch this show because nobody says I can't. We'll stretch this show into probably another hour or maybe two. It's all up to you. If we see the demand, we're going to just keep on going. Lots of nice emails and tweets from folks, and I'm really, really appreciative. And one of you saying, on to the future. Another one saying, there sure are plenty of middle-aged, angry, conservative white men filling the air. A true reflection of our community has to be much wider than that representation. Ain't that the truth? Well, tell that to the idiots in radio. But, of course, we ain't in radio. We're on the Internet. And this is Lynn Cullen Live, where we will be Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Well, until somebody tells me I have to move on, which unfortunately has been happening quite a bit lately. But I don't think it's going to happen here. I think we're going to do this. One of the things I had wanted to talk about today, and of course there's a million things I want to talk to you about because it's been so long, but you will not be surprised to learn that I'm dumbfounded and very upset about the pictures and video that we've all been seeing of these gun-toting Americans standing outside political venues, and especially venues where the president is. Now, this is happening in states where the NRA is totally in control, where they can carry weaponry openly in public places. Now, stop and think about it. You've got a very tense, volatile issue, such as health care has proven to be. And besides the screaming people with signs on both sides, now you've got people with guns. And I don't see how that's a good idea. In these open carry states, like Arizona was the one outside of Phoenix, and I believe in the other jerk was in New Hampshire. This is, I think, a pretty disturbing new wrinkle. Because think about it from a few perspectives. Would you go to a political rally? Would you bring your children to a political rally if you knew that people at the rally would be carrying guns? Now, people carrying guns openly at political rallies have, this should not surprise anybody, a chilling effect. So you've got the First Amendment, our freedom of expression and freedom of assembly, bumping in to our now Second Amendment on steroids, which is a gun on every belt, in every hand, in every classroom, in every pew of every church. And nothing good is going to come of this. Also, you have to wonder, if the Secret Service has to be constantly eyeballing the guys that are openly carrying, how does that not take their eyes off the man that they have to protect, which is Barack Obama? So in other words, guys openly carrying can be the kind of distraction that would allow somebody who's covertly carrying with malintent to perhaps have more of a shot, so to speak, at doing what he wants to do. So I must say, when I see this constant escalation of how we present ourselves and our feelings and our positions, and now it's guns and even like huge-looking AK-47s this one guy had. I don't know what they are, and don't you gun nuts start trying to tell me, it was an AK-47. I don't care what it was. It is for many Americans, and I would argue most Americans, an extremely intimidating sight. So I don't know where we're heading, guys, but, the regular talk radio and a lot of the cable stuff, none of them are tamping any of this down. They, in fact, are doing quite the opposite. And so I don't know, is there still a place for some kind of reasoned debate? Is there? I hope it can be here. I truly do. I don't know. But people with assault rifles at where the president is speaking is just simply mind-boggling to me. When our level of public discourse devolves to Sarah Palin saying that, I'll quote directly, my baby, let me do a Sarah Palin voice. My baby with Down syndrome will have to stand in front of an Obama death panel and wait a verdict on whether he deserves to live. It almost makes you rethink the First Amendment. Man, democracy's tough. And all these freedoms are tough when there are so many people who don't value them with the partnership of responsibility, of personal responsibility in exercising these freedoms. Good Lord. Well, I'll tell you, I cannot believe this hour has pretty much wended on its way. I've got about a minute and a half left, and I'll tell you what. We will, as I said, be back tomorrow, right on time, 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we shall do so the rest of the week till Friday, and then every week we can. And my sense is that when we get the phones up and running, the show will also probably get a little bit longer. The way this is going to work is as soon as I'm off the air, we will repeat the show. So if you don't have the opportunity to listen live, well, it doesn't matter. You can listen whenever you want. Okay? So that might be helpful for some of you. I want to thank those of you who bothered to listen in on this inaugural rendition of Lynn Cullen Live. I want to again thank the people at Steel City Media and City Paper for giving us all this opportunity to be together again and to offer a different point of view and maybe a different feel than what is the norm in civic, seems like the wrong word, discourse these days. So thank you so much for this. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's like riding a bike. I think I can do this. So join me tomorrow if you can. And this is only going to get better. Love ya. Have a wonderful day.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.